But you know what? It is what it is. The reality is that you need to make sure you have all the facts to make sure that you know who you should hire. Okay, well, my client's already left. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Good luck on the next one. What's going on, guys? Thank you for tuning in to Living in El Paso. I'm Alexa Pena. I'm a local real estate agent in El Paso. I'm also an investor, and the reason for these videos is to help you make sure you're educated before going and working with an agent. And today's video is going to be geared around the reason why you should make sure you're not hiring a cheap agent. So I know this video is going to trigger some agents out there, but you know what? It is what it is. The reality is that you need to make sure you have all the facts to make sure that you know who you should hire. So let's get straight into the video. Okay, the first thing I want you to make sure you're asking your agent before you hire them, okay? And we made a full video of questions you should ask, and we also have a document with the PDF for all the questions that we're gonna be covering. If you're interested, feel free to claim the link down below or reach out to us on our Instagram, Facebook, or directly, and we'll be more than happy to send it to you via text. I know some people sometimes tell us that they email, and sometimes their emails get blocked. So that is something, again, it depends on your server, it depends on your email provider, but to make it easier, you can always reach out to us directly and we'll forward it over. Okay, so this is different than that video because in this example, what I want to share with you is you don't want to hire a cheap agent. And what I mean by that, okay, when I'm talking about a cheap agent, there's a couple of things I want you to consider. The first thing is, are they cutting corners in your marketing? And obviously, you're a new buyer or seller, so maybe you don't know how to determine that. Well, I'm gonna give you a quick story to know what is something that you 100% wanna make sure they're doing. Recently, I worked with a client that wanted to go ahead and view this home. They were in love with the property, they wanted to see it. They were in town for a very limited amount of time. Like I'm talking about, we had hours to view properties and they were gonna be going back home, okay? So I reached out to an agent and I told them, hey, we're looking to see this property. I sent them a text at first because I don't like to call people. I don't know what their schedule looks like at first, right? So I'm like, okay, let me text them, let me let them know. An hour passed by, 2 hours passed by, nothing. So I'm like, okay, what's going on? So I call them, no answer. I call them again, no answer. At this point, my clients are disappointed in the fact that they're not replying. They're even commenting on how inconsiderate that that agent is being for their client because they're not answering, right? And they've sold houses before, so they know how it is. They're like, wow, like the fact that that agent isn't answering, like we could be ready to go right now, and they're doing a disservice to their client. And I'm just there like, yep, I agree. So to make the long story short, my clients, we weren't able to get into that house, that they fell in love with the next house we saw. We wrote a contract, we closed on the home, and then of course, after we left and when I was writing the contract with my assistant, I get a message from the agent, I'm sorry, I was at work, I wasn't able to get back to you, the house is ready to show. Okay, well my client's already left, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Good luck on the next one. And this leads to my second point, why you want to make sure you're hiring the right person. And I know the word cheap is like a triggering point to some of you watching the video. It's not about them being cheap as in like, oh, they don't have money. No, as in how they're cutting corners with you, okay, and how they're treating you. And of course, unfortunately, when they are, okay, not a full-time agent, which is the second point I want to make to you and why you should ask them this. When they're not a full-time agent, it can cost you a deal. I said this story before. I had a deal where I was representing one party, the other agent was representing the seller. Long story short, she's a nurse. We're negotiating some repairs, okay? At this point, I'm representing the buyer, she's representing the seller. The option period is about to end. She's not replying. I need a yes from her client in order for my clients to tell me we're gonna move forward. Because if she doesn't confirm, then my clients were just gonna say terminate. I don't wanna lose my earnest money, let's cancel. So I'm texting her, she's not following up with me. I'm calling her and calling her. Literally, she was lucky enough because by the time that we were 30 minutes from our option period ending, which by that point, I was already ready with the form to send it out to her email so that I would have proper notice on time. I was ready and she texts me back and she's like, hey, no, yes, my client is going to agree. I'm sorry, he had texted me back, but I was in the OR, because she's a nurse, and I'm sorry, I just wasn't able to reply. Literally 30 minutes would have cost her client the deal. And this is where you want to make sure that the agent you hire does have the time to take care of you. Yes, I know finances can be tight, and yes, I know there's a lot going on and maybe they need the extra cash. But if they have an extra job, maybe they have an assistant that helps them when they're not available, or maybe they have a system that helps them get a notification out. AI is a very powerful tool. There's something that they need to be able to do to really provide you the value for you to decide, okay, I'm willing to overlook the fact that you're not gonna be there for me at all times. But the reality is that most of you are probably not gonna be interested in that. You're probably gonna want somebody that is full-time, that really has the time to take care of you. So that is something that you should really keep in mind. And the third reason why you should not hire a cheap agent, it's because sometimes they're going to be willing to cut corners to make sure that they get the deal done for them to get paid, but it could have cost you the deal in terms of either losing it entirely or losing money that you could have actually walked away with. So I'm gonna give you a quick story because it just happened today. I had this client, I explained to them the situation with the market. We went on the market around October, which was literally the time frame in which the market slows down. So I prepared them, right? I told them, hey, just so you're aware of, we are going to be in a market where, because of the holiday season, it's gonna trend down. Typically around, historically speaking, around 10% is the amount of decrease that we see during those periods of the month, okay, of the year. So I explained to them, they understood, they knew the marketing tactic that we were going to use. And toward the beginning of the year, we knew we were gonna slightly price reduce to get more attention flowing in the market, in the listing, and just get more exposure going to it. Why is it important to make sure your agent is knowledgeable? Because there's a ton of agents that had a buyer that could have brought them to this property, and even though maybe it was slightly above their price point, they could have negotiated a slight price reduction because my sellers were motivated and because we had been on the market, right? But in reality, there was no attention that happened after that. We had showings, but no offers that had came in. And at that point, when I talked to the clients and after we did the price reduction, we got 3 offers, okay? And I'm trying to make the long story short here, but what ends up happening next is quite funny because 2 of the offers that come in are at the asking price, and then 1 of the offers comes in above the asking price after we had reduced it, okay? So I'm laughing because I'm like, wow, this person literally could have negotiated a better deal, but now they're actually paying more, literally because they didn't get on the market and do their research right on time and know how to play the best scenario for their client. But secondly, they essentially, didn't ask for any closing costs, which was great because it was going to help my clients net more. Well, we accepted, but there was an option period. So today was the last day of the option period and we got an amendment. An amendment is basically where they require for the items that they request for the items that they want repaired. So when that happens, well, the amendment could be added for other things too, but I'm just trying to tell you what that form was for as one of the items that we can use it for. So after that, she basically tells us that they're gonna be requesting for 7 items, and then they still wanted for us to leave the security system, which the security system was something that my clients were nice enough to offer because they really didn't have to, it didn't have to convey. So it was this whole thing. Well, the agent made a huge mistake because she did not put on the contract where she specified what items in the kitchen were going to convey the fridge that my clients had, which was an upgraded fridge. Okay, it's like a $2,000 fridge. So at this point, when I am on the phone with her, I remind her because my clients had already told me, Alexa, this is your negotiation power. Go make it happen for me. We trust you. So they had given me $2,000 to play with that I would be able to offer as a credit. But I did not want to do that, right? So I'm on the phone and I tell her, hey, you know what? I noticed that, your client, obviously like the items that we have agreed at this point, I want to really just like reiterate the value that we have provided. And I remind her of the fridge, and I tell her, I was like, look, my clients are willing to leave the fridge and not change it to a basic model for your client to make sure that she sees the value in the deal. Well, she ends up agreeing, to make the long story short, she agrees to not have any repairs done. Her client loses out on $2,000, all because she didn't actually make the time to write in the contract the specific item that was gonna convey. And two, I can argue the fact that she didn't pay attention to our conversation. We want to make sure the people we're working with take the time to save us money and take the time to take care of us. That's the reality, okay? So whoever you decide to work with, make sure that they're taking the time to explain to you and that they're taking the time to take care of you and actually are knowledgeable in the market. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today to yet another episode here of Living in El Paso. If you do have any questions, please feel free to let us know. I want to thank you for sticking around to get educated on some of the things that you should know before hiring your agent. And I want to ask you for a huge favor. If you got any value out of the video, please share this with somebody that might be considering buying, selling, or if you could also consider subscribing. This helps us get the channel in front of more people so that they can make sure that they are making the right decision when choosing who they're going to work with. Thank you again, and I will talk to you guys on the next one. Oh yeah, and before I leave, I want to show you this beautiful listing. It is out in West El Paso. It is a 4-bedroom, 5-bathroom with a pool, as you can see, over 2,000 square feet in a gated community, listed right under $770,000. This house is stunning, so I want to take a quick moment to give you guys a tour. So if that's something you're interested in, stick around for a few more seconds.